I love video games. I think that's something I need to state at the very beginning because today's video is the opposite of that. Truth be told, I never wanted to make this video. Yes, gambling is a very bad thing, but back then it was a very niche market, and those who talked about it did better than I could possibly even do. But then it grew and grew and grew to the point it started to touch with its manipulating greedy hand to places I thought it never would. To the point even I could not ignore this topic. I'm going to be honest, this is going to be a controversial video. For months I was debating whether or not I should even make this video. But today, let's put our love for games aside, start pointing fingers, and talk about the elephant in the room. Because today's topic cannot be ignored anymore. Let's start off with one of the biggest culprits of this dilemma. Starting off by declaring a war against the whole country, eh? Good job, me. One of my life goals is to live in Japan. I don't know for how long. Heck, I haven't even visited the country yet. But there's a lot of positive things about Japan. The food, the culture, the advancement, and yes, even gaming related stuff. But I also heard a lot of negative stuff as well. The perfectionist it drives, the hassle of paperwork and the procedures, the xenophobic behind some locals. For example, some restaurants and bars ban foreigners. Though one can't argue because of idiots. But if you ask me what would be the biggest con when living in Japan, it would be the ingrained culture of the gacha. Gacha came from the word gachapon, which is essentially the toy capsule of sort, where you put a coin, twist the knob, and you get these toys in the round circle. You open it and you might get one of 6 toys. Gachapon. Gacha is basically the generalized version of it. Essentially, gacha is a lottery ticket. And you're going to be hearing that word a lot in this video. Don't make it a drinking game. Japan is ingrained with the gacha system. Here, let me give you an example. Suppose you want to go to a concert from a greatest musician of all time, Critical Maxim. Totally a great musician. Totally should check it out. Now, in order to get that ticket, you will need to register yourself in a lottery pool. If you win the said pool, you are now required to pay for the ticket under your name. So even if you cannot go because life, or you want to give it to your friends, you can't because it is registered in your name. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think your friend also has to register their name if they're going to be your +1. I get why they implemented this system. Scalpers are the worst, and to prevent scalping, this system was implemented. It's not the best system, but it is a system. I don't agree with it, but whatever. The thing is, it's not the only place that this system is implemented. The gacha system is in reservations, sushi plates, vending machines. I'm not kidding when I say this, taxi. It's more aesthetics from what I heard than, getting better service, but there is a gacha system for taxi. And you know what baffles me about this whole thing? It is illegal to gamble in Japan. An example of this is the pachinko machine. All you need to know is like a slot machine, but instead of money, you get these tiny steel balls and you will have no idea how the game even works. Trust me, I tried reading the rules and such, and I am still confused how to even win. All I know is that the more balls you have, the better. Now, gambling in Japan is illegal, But you can trade those steel balls for this plushie, for example. And now things start to get weird. After you trade said toy, you can go to a building next to the pachinko machine where you can trade stuff like this toy. And what do you know? This stuffed toy just so happened to be $500. Yeah, it's gambling, but with extra steps. It's a very, very open secret that should be illegal, but the Japanese government just turns a blind eye because reason. According to Wikipedia, there are special exceptions like horse racing and certain motorsports and... Look, I am not going to say how to spend your money. It's your choice. But I have also seen lives being destroyed, not just individually, but people around them as well. Friends and family members, for example. The only reason why I think it's still a thing in this country is, well, money for their own pockets. Let's be honest here though, Japan isn't the only country. There's other countries that aren't a saint either. For example, with crates and loot boxes. But gacha, if not created, was popularized in Japan to the point it became ingrained. And one can argue that other countries popularized this problem we're having today, but I think it's gacha. And I think the reason why it's been so widespread is because business. Alright, now we can focus on the video game department. There's a lot of company to talk about here, so I'll try to compact yet detailed on this topic. Let's start off with the biggest gacha company I know, Holoverse. They are basically the company behind Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, and Zenless Zone Zero. I actually made a video about Genshin Impact a while ago, talking about how if the game is free to play friendly or not. But today, we will talk about more purchasing side. Games like Zenless Zone Zero has most of the characters locked behind lottery pools, aka banners. To pool said banners, you essentially need their own premium currency to do so. Spending for 10 in gacha term pools has their benefits. Either guarantee one rare drop, cheaper than individually, or both. Sounds fine, right? I mean, free-to-play players can also grind for those premium currencies, and now you can just do it. It will take time for sure, but free-to-play players can do it. Well, now things start to get more devilish. As some might expect, some characters are better than others, and in order to get the best characters, aka S-rank characters, you have less than 0.6% chance to pull said character. Why less? Well, because all S-rank stuff are within that margin. And if the limited banner is promoting said character, the character is boosted 50% of that said chance. In other words, you have 0.3% chance of getting said character. And things gets worse. If you want to make your character stronger, you need to basically pull the same character 7 times. 1 original and 6, in layman's term, clones converted into unique power-ups. You now have, in best case scenario, 1 in 460 million. 1 in 450 million if you do the 10 pulls at once. Just to put it in perspective, the chances of you getting struck by lightning is 1 in 1 million. You're more likely to be struck by lightning than get your character in its max potential. And we're considering the best case scenario, aka with banner boost. Okay, kind of. Yes, there is the whole 450 and 460 million is still accurate. However, there is one thing I forgot to mention here, the pity system. In Journalist Zone Zero, there's a thing called pity system where, as you can see it or tell by the terminology, the game is pitying you and gives you a guaranteed X character. Whether you get the character you want or not, that's up to luck still. But it's every 90 pulls. 90. So every 90 pulls, you get one guarantee. If we calculate that in the whole thing, and if you're getting a little bit unlucky, you have 1 in 276 chance, which is a lot more until you consider you had to do 900 pulls, aka 90 times 10. From what I have calculated and from what I've seen, aka ChatGPT, it's around $2,400. So, yeah, pity system makes it better, but you're still spending a lot more money. Moving on. Of course, many aren't going for the best in these gacha games. I so daren't. And yes, not all characters are S rank. I don't know much about Jet, but in Genshin Impact, I loved my character Razor, which I did get some clone gems to power up my character. Yeah, I would show you some gameplay footage of that, but for some reason, I cannot find my Genshin Impact game data because it's either somewhere in other server regions, I don't know where, or it's deleted. I'm so glad I did not spend any money on that game. But if you are a completionist, good luck, because you will need it, because you're gonna spend a lot of time and or money on that game. And I haven't even talked about another thing. To said character, there's some synergy with some weapons, and some of the great weapons, you guessed it, are behind banners and gacha system. Huzzah! With that said, not everyone is going for the whole completionist sake and whatnot, but at the same time, I don't think that's gonna be the whole completionist soonest as well. We'll get back to that later. For now, I want to talk about another horrible thing. Purchasing premium currency. I only talked about it in my pet peeves video, but to sum it up, the company intentionally makes sure you spend more money than you want because of false assurance, and having spare premium currency in your account so that you will spend the remaining later down the line. Here's an example. Suppose pulling a gacha costs 160 and you decide to just spend IRL money to get premium currency. The store makes sure you don't get exactly 160. It can be 60 and the other one is 300. According to psychology, you're more likely to go for 300 because it's more cheaper than the prior offer. Except it's not. Yes. The company planned the very thing so that you spend more money. So after you spend said 160 on the pool, that 140 is gonna keep nagging you till the end. Unless you spend more RL money or grind. Because everything is more expensive than 140. From what I've heard, there was this whole thing where companies hired PhD psychologists to do research so that you can min-max your money and yada yada yada. But I could not find any citation behind it, so take that opinion as a grain of salt. With that said, I did find 2 papers about people who do play gacha games. 710 and 5,062 participants respectively. I recommend reading these 2 papers, they're very interesting. But from what I have researched, men are more likely to spend money on gacha than female. People who spend more money has higher means in motivations like escapism and coping. And if you're playing for long enough, you're more likely to spend over $300 in gacha games. Yikes. I mean, it was kind of obvious how the game was marketed and whatnot, but seeing it in paper... But there has been exceptions. For example, I have heard good things about Infinity Nikki, how the game doesn't have annoying fan service, how you can customize your character in any fashion you want, how in order to get a full set of clothes, you need to roll gacha, and each clothing piece comes out individually, not in a set. Oh no. Credit where credit is due. The pulling rate is much higher, and the game makes sure you don't get any duplicate items before completing one set of said costume. And the pity system is pretty good, so I've heard, every 20 pulls. And you don't need all the set per se. You can mismatch any item for the sake of fashion, and that is amazing. But you still need to collect all the set if you want to, say, have the ability that the character can tap into. And that I can't agree with. Plus, personally speaking, if I get an item, I would like to get the full set and work around them as well. Try new things or change something so small like hairstyle or gloves. I am going to be honest, the moment I saw this, I just stopped playing the game. And alright, tinfoil time. And I hope I'm absolutely wrong and this never happens. But imagine trying to get a gacha character, but this time you need 7 puzzle pieces to combine them with 0.6% chance just to play the character. That will probably never happen. I mean, it's so ridiculous, so impossible, so detrimental that it could destroy the whole industry, or at the very least the video game in question, right? Right? Look, I don't want to be the whole pessimistic asshat who just ruins games for everyone. But we have seen time and time again when we thought this is absolutely ridiculous, it will never come to fruition and it will not stay, came to fruition and stayed. So let me ask you this. Can you say with utmost confidence that what I'm saying is absolute bogus? 80 to 90% agrees that it absolutely is bogus. It's the rest that I'm scared it would be a reality. I have heard that Infinity Nikki current game is... oh boy. Do watch this video. They go more in depth about how the game turned for the worse, how the company started to get more greedy and asked for 11 items in one set. Oh god, now it's 11? Ugh. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise that because the game is burning inside out, the others won't take this 6 set ideas into their own game, right? I am so sorry, Infinity Nikki's fan. Look, I can go on and on with gacha gaming and the problem behind it, but I would highly recommend also watching Yoko Common's video about the real cost of gacha instead, since he goes more in depth about the problems with gacha gaming. But I wanted to display this quote he said.
Even beyond their hazy ethics, I think what really scares me is that in gacha games, I see a boring future.
Congratulations, you hit the nail. Evidence? Me. Some time ago, I tried to play Wuthering Waves since it came out in Steam, and I thought I would dabble with it, see what the hype is all about, and well, this is just Genshin Impact reskinned. Traveler coming out of nowhere, the combat being simplified, the artwork just being the same, the gacha system still sucking, and well, the game being ridiculously easy. Okay, I need to make more clarification here, mainly because I'm starting to see more arguments of saying Wuthering Wave is not Genshin Impact and Genshin Impact is Wuthering Wave and yada yada yada. So let me just state this clear. I'm not saying only Wuthering Wave is Genshin Impact reskin. I am saying that all the gacha games are starting to be like Genshin Impact reskin, And Genshin Impact is starting to be like all the Genshin or gacha game reskins and such. Everything is just messing together too much to the point that I don't know which game is from which environment is from which game, and which character is from which game, unless I heavily in that gacha game to begin with. They all are starting to get boring anyways, so if you don't agree with me, sorry. Other than Arknight and maybe Azure Lane, I never had any games that was challenging and made me engaged. So, I have died here and there in games, but that was because I was underleveled. And when I finally hit the level to be the recommended for the game, it became dead easy again. And as a gamer, it pisses me off because what's the point of grinding if I don't get any challenge from it? I even tried underleveling and I just can't hit the mark, while my skill is more important than my brute force without me just being underpowered and dying. Every now and then is fine, but every time? No. And it's not only Wuthering Waves, Honkai Impact 3rd, Princess Connect Redrive, Honkai Star Rail, Girls Frontline, heck, even Genshin Impact. Gacha games has become so boring that I did the no character rule. Here's an example. In Genless Zone Zero, I wanted a character, Nekomata. I saw her in the announcement trailer and I was keen on trying out. I did a free test and I was ready to pull the character with my free rolls. Yeah, I did not get her, so I immediately uninstalled the game. I could have maybe grinded for her, but what's the point for grinding for hours and hours and hours just to maybe get her? I mean, I did for Genshin Impact Klee. I grinded for days and days and days getting those premium currencies just so that I could roll and get this character. To this day, I still don't have her. So, riddle me this. What's the point of grinding and grinding and grinding to get a character for a boring gacha games? But gacha games aren't the only gambling games here. Again, Westerners aren't saint either. Look, I love this man, but I'm putting Gabe in the spotlight here. TF2 loot boxes to maybe get better hats in one thing that I actually got indulged with too. But then comes CSGO boxes. You know what it is, I know what it is, it's everywhere. Get the gold chest and you win big money. It has gotten so bad that there's third-party sites that might be scummy and black markety. Valve most likely knows and ignores this because they are earning money from it. And it's gotten so bad that there's a whole gang raids trying to assault one another so that their CSGO black market website is better. Coffee made a whole 3-part video about it. I recommend watching it later because this is a lot to digest. With that said, I still haven't talked about a lot of things like Overwatch loot boxes, Apex loot boxes, Diablo's whatever the hell mobile marketing game this is. I have a lot of other things I have to talk, but there's a point I have to stop. So before I stop talking about this topic, I want to talk about the main reason why I even made this video in the first place. One game. League of Legends. Ah yes, the salty mob game that you promised you would quit, only to jump back in yesterday. You know I'm right, Alex. All you have to understand is that their system is not gacha. They have ride points, aka premium currency and all that annoying hassle. But hey, at least what characters and skin you want is guaranteed, right? Well, not anymore. When Arcade was premiering on Netflix, god damn it, we needed one more season. How dare they rush this masterpiece right on Netflix? LOL was promoting cosmetic items for Jinx. Unfortunately for all of us, they made it gatcha. You have a 0.5% chance on getting her. But hey, at least you won't get the same duplicate items. So you should be fine. Holy garbage. If you want to get the skin for guaranteed, you have to spend $250 US. Yes, you could be lucky and you could spend less, but yikes. And you know what the best part about this whole thing is? It was limited run. So you would be in a state of fear of missing out. FOMO. This is why I planned this video in the first place. Companies that didn't do gachas are now doing gachas. And that's scary. Because if LOL can do it, well, now so can Mario and Sonic and racing games and, well, Star Wars. Okay, yes, this happened before LOL, but still. There are some positives though. For example, EU is regulating laws to prevent this exploitation. One of the recent examples is making sure that the gacha items or premium items is showing in real life money instead of these premium currency converted and whatnot. And yes, it is only in EU law restricted or country restricted, but the companies are making it worldwide because according to some of the devs, it's easier to code worldwide than per each region. But companies are still exploiting us. Companies are still exploiting with, well, gambling, with gacha, with FOMO, with, well, you. The only advice I can give you is be cautious, be aware, and make sure that the company doesn't influence you to the way that you have to spend more and more money. I mean, that should be easy. All we have to do is be cautious and be aware. I mean, we are self-standing, we are self-knowledgeable and whatnot. It's not like anyone we look up to even will promote gambling for kids, right? Well... YouTubers, TikTokers, streamers, and more, big or small, whether they like it or not, are influencers. It has been reported that around 36 people base what they buy online via influencers. People can be very easily manipulated by influencers, whether with malicious intent or not. Don't believe me? There is no 36% survey report. I lied. I pulled that out of the thin air. Go to your dum-dum corner. Come back. You don't have a dum-dum corner. Keep up. It's very easy to look up to them because they might be humble, doing great things for greater good, or just a decent person all around. As far as we know. God, I hope this doesn't age like milk as well. But again, there's a reason why they are called influencers. They influence you. And sadly, gambling is no exception to this. Here, let me give you a prime example. XQC. He's currently a massive streamer on Kick and Twitch. You probably know him via three ways. Former professional Overwatch esports player turned to streamer. That Kick guy who got $100 million. Or the reaction guy who left in the middle of a YouTube video for too long while streaming other content creators' video and reacting prematurely when confronted not only about it, but stealing a lot of other content creators by reacting, aka just staying in the frame and saying nothing at all. Look, I'm going to be blunt here. I don't like XQC. I think how he handles things and how immature he can be at times is frustrating, to say the least. He did say he would stop gambling stream on October 2023, but apparently he hasn't, but I haven't found any source supporting that claim, so I don't know whether he has or not. So whether you believe him he has stopped or not, that's up to you. Yes, he signed a contract with Kick on 2023, but he was still streaming gambling before then on Twitch, before the whole ban hammer on Twitch for these games.
I actually don't know when he started streaming gambling. So let's say this. On January 2021, he had around 4.9 million followers. If we take a percent of that might have been interested in gambling, we're still looking at 49,000 followers, which is few, very, very, very few, but still people who have gotten into gambling or might have been interested into getting into gambling because of XQC.
Why January 2021? I found a Reddit post around February 2021 that they started streaming or started gambling because of XQC. A year later, they went bankrupt. I hope you're doing better, buddy. Oh, and XQC, apparently you already lost all the $100 million in gambling. I'm going to be honest, I'm somewhat surprised because I knew he was going to lose all of them. I thought it would take 2-3 more years.
I'm going to be honest, I feel disgusted researching for this video because, well, ignorance is bliss and I already knew gambling is bad. But there are things I left out because of time, irrelevancy, flow of the script, and well, I just couldn't.
But hey, that is gambling with real money. And technically it is still a video game because it's a digital media, you're interacting with it, yada yada yada. But hey, we know better. We're just playing video games and we won't be influenced by that easily, right? Well, if I'm going to talk about someone I don't like, it's only fair that I talk about someone I do like as well. Giguk.
Giguk is pretty much an OG anime reviewer with essay, recommender, and the next-gen Indian drama enjoyer. Anime edition.
If you know, you know.
When he streams on Twitch, he sometimes plays gacha games. Now, I usually don't watch Twitch streams mainly because of time and life and whatnot. But others do, and others see him play these games. Heck, he even gets sponsored to stream said games sometimes. And even when he's not streaming, he also sometimes has video sponsors on his YouTube videos, and followers see this, myself included. And something just thinks about it. At one point, the game looks intrigued to try. At the other point, it is still gacha.
And now I am in this weird limbo. I should call him out, but he's doing this to pay his rent. But he's still influencing gacha, aka gambling for kids. But the game looks cool, but, and it goes on and on and on. And it's someone I look up to. Yes, you shouldn't put any content creators in a pedestal. Hopefully, I haven't done that myself. But at the same time, there's this weird social pressure. Whether they are endorsing or not, hopefully absolutely not, some of the fans are gonna call you out, rightfully or not. Mind you, 99.9999999% are very understandable and will agree with me here. But it's those rest that is the loudest and can be really, really obnoxious.
And even not mentioning big names, influencers still influence in other ways. Take memes for example. When Miyabi was announced and playable in Jet Jet Jet, I saw memes everywhere. How big her ears are and can be, to cute moments, to finding out she might be Virgil's lost child. Oh, god damn it!
Virgil, get off your plastic chair and pay your child supports already!
It barely made me want to install Jet 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 again and grind just to get her. Thankfully, I barely held back because I remember how annoying grinding for the game will be. But seeing how easy it could have been to influence me back into... Oh, even the companies can influence you. Amazing animation, cool lore, superb voice acting. it makes sense with so much grossing company gets. The employees are getting paid well for this.
At least I really hope they're getting paid well, otherwise I have to make another video, and I genuinely do not want to make a video about that.
But whether or not you consider companies an influencer, I think not, but for the sake of the flow, let's just say they are. Showing us things directly or indirectly how cool and awesome the game is, it makes us want to try them. And while it's a great thing for many games, it can also be a dangerous rabbit hole with financial burden.
Of course, influence can work the opposite way as well, but that doesn't always mean it's a good thing. I have seen some takes which I'm not gonna show it here, but yikes. The only advice I can give you here is, again, self-control. Be aware of the situation you are in. Make sure that you're not easily influenced, or train yourself to not be easily influenced. And one thing above everything else, make sure you are financially stable before doing anything else. Make sure you have all the needs you need. Make sure you pay all the needs you get. Make sure all the needs are prioritized. If you're already in gacha game, and if you want to do, say, spend money, first of all, try to spend as little as possible. Maybe like $5 a month thing you can do or something. Or don't even spend at all, because that is better. And if you're already spending a lot of money, spend as little and little and little each and every time, to the point you can probably do like maybe 5 a month or less if you can. The less you spend, the better for your financial burden. But that should be easy for you guys. I mean, it's not like you're enabling gachas and being narrow-minded in these topics, right? Oh, wait. Yeah, if I'm pointing fingers, I'm pointing at everyone.
There's 4 arguments I've heard from you guys over and over. I am not gambling too much. And even if I am, I got what I wanted. And even if I didn't, I am supporting the devs. And the secret fourth, I am having fun. What's your problem?
One at a time. I'm not spending too much money. Let's look at a paper with 713 participants, Sebi. According to the paper, around 13.2% people spend less than 100 euros. Around 20.3% spends less than 300 euros. And around 13.9% spends more than 300 euros in gacha game overall. Hopefully I got that number right. But again, this is overall. And 300 euros isn't a lot in the grand scheme of things. And you would be absolutely right. So let's look at the second paper with 5,062 participants. This is per month. And this was reported in 2022.
Without counting the first one, aka people who don't spend money, that's 82.2% of people spending on gacha. Now, I inputted the data into spreadsheet and, well, there isn't a strong pattern. In fact, there might not even be one, I'll admit. But there is one thing that caught my eye. People are willing to spend more money on said gachas. Now, whether it's over time or immediate or somewhere in between, that is not clear. Yes. So, I want to bring one more paper to show how people would be spending more and more money over time. According to this paper, this was sampled with 636 gamers, 415 non-gamblers and 221 gamblers, all within the age 18 to 26. This paper is very complex. I barely understood it myself and I had to read it over and over and over. So if anyone is smarter than me, if I am wrong, please correct me in the comments below. But if I am understanding this correctly, both gamblers and non-gamblers shows an increase on spending money on loot boxes over time. It's clear gamblers are doing way more than non-gamblers, but both shows progress nonetheless. With the paper's conclusion, quote, our longitudinal study supports a migration pathway that loot boxes engagement increases the likelihood of gambling initiation. Our data further indicates that the randomized rewards presented by loot boxes are integral to this relationship, as opposed to microtransactions more broadly. End quote.
Which leads me to point number 2. I got what I wanted eventually, so it was worth it. This is very subjective and it can go either or, so I will say this. Yes, you might eventually got what you wanted, but how many stuff you didn't want to get, you got? Again, very subjective and it could go what ifs and whatnot, so let's just say you won the point for this one, okay?
Let's lead us to point 3. I am supporting the devs. And while I agree that supporting the devs is good, like spending $5 a month on those daily reward things, too much anything is too much. I know too many folks that are willing to spend $50 per month on gacha games. Minimum. Like spending $50 now and then is one thing. It's still a problem, but I digress. But per month, you can do so much more with that money than a very small chance to get your favorite PNG or nowadays 3D polygons.
But why do I care? I mean, you will spend your money however you want. You're supporting the devs. You're not going to be in those silly little gambling research papers, right? Why am I being the asshat? You are having fun, right? I've heard this argument over and over, directly and indirectly. So, I will just show you 2 final evidence. Minecraft and Duper Trooper.
I highly recommend watching this video as all the story behind this guy was taken from there. He'll go more in detail than I will here. But when Duper Trooper was very young, he wanted to join some faction, guild or team of sort. But because of his low equipments, aka free-to-play items, he wasn't selected. He wanted to be stronger, have better equipment, be one of the best in the server's faction. So, when his birthday came around, he asked his parents for some money to buy loot boxes. Sadly, he got 3 trashed items and an addiction. Every single celebration, birthday, Christmas, any celebration, he asked for money for loot boxes. Heck, tried selling lemonade for loot boxes at very, very young age. And as he grew, so did his addiction, and it bite him back.
Duper Trooper now makes YouTube videos about exploiting and destroying these illegal Minecraft servers. Yes, illegal, because according to Minecraft official TOS, it is illegal to have any gambling in your server. So if you have any loot boxes or such in server, that is illegal, period. But his gambling addict still lingers. It still lingered in his adulthood. All because he wanted to join a faction. All because he wanted to be part of something. So, let me ask you this. Can you safely say that you're not going to be into gambling, you're not going to spend more and more on these gachas and loot boxes, all because you did not get what you wanted, all because you did not get what the others have, all because you're not part of something? But that's okay. That's honestly okay, because it is fun. And who am I to judge, right?
I sound like a villain here, and honestly, I doubt majority, if not all, are still convinced with my rattle. So, whatever. I have been keeping this bottle up for far, far too long, because I don't want to destroy my friendships over silly little games But is it silly? I mean, this gambling is affecting people's life to the worst. So, some strive by making memes and artwork and whatever. But the players alone? How much of that is a positive outlook?
And you know what's the most frustrating thing? What I hate about this whole thing, about this whole gambling for kids. If I'm going to point fingers, I have to point at everyone. Because of course, I'm also the problem.
I made a video talking about Arknight and Genshin Impact in positive light while I was aware the 0.6% in Genshin. Arknight not quite, but either or. As an influencer, I influenced some to maybe play the games. And as a player, I play a gacha game called Mahjong Soul. Basically Richie Mahjong with anime girls and guys. All cosmetics but gacha nonetheless. Even only I spend fortune charms, aka daily reward thing for $5 a month. I still spend more sometimes. For example, when I wanted to get the saber for the Fate collab, I spend more and more only to get what? A PNG character with funny emotes and voice lines? And even then, I still try new gacha games despite knowing it will be boring, knowing the gacha manipulation, Honkai Star Rail, Whittling Waves, Genless Zone Zero. Heck, I'm still excited for upcoming games like Arknight Anfield and Anata.
So I am a hypocrite for making this video and then pointing others that they are the problem when I'm also the problem, when I'm also looking for new gacha games, even though I did my research, even though I know that it could lead me to a financial burden and ruin my life, even. We have reached the point of no return, and I am scared for the future. It is clear that these greedy companies are going to use these loot boxes, gacha, these gamblings to exploit us. And we're going to keep eating it. The trend is slow, but sure. I fear the day when indie game starts to have these gacha games. Hopefully it's just me wearing this tinfoil hat forever. Hopefully. We definitely need some laws and regulations to restrict, because this could ruin our lives. Video game endorses gambling. Not every game, not the majority of the games, but enough that we need a serious discussion about it. Because this is gambling for kids, and it's exploiting kids. It's exploiting us. We need some self-control. But man, that new character looks cool, yo.